Hello, Rita Higgins.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
Good. Look at this van all rigged up.
Oh yeah, you've seen it before, right?
I haven't been inside it. This is something else.
Isn't it?
Yeah, nice.
How's your day going?
It's good. It's good to have a rain day to catch up a little bit. So, yeah.
Do you buy a lot of plants here?
I do.
Or organically speaking, are there some that are better than others?
When it comes to like horticultural,
Yeah.
ornamental, not really.
No, right.
There's nobody really growing
Nobody.
trees and no.
Is that should they be?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the amazing things about horticulture. Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
The amazing thing about the horticultural industry is that I think a lot of people get into it because they love being outdoors and they love, you know, trees and plants, but the actual sort of growing side of things is rarely organic. I can't even think off the top of my head other than fruit trees. Anyone who would be selling things organically grown.
Yeah.
And should we be? Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I think we're heading there, aren't we?
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, it's becoming more mainstream. Everywhere you
Okay.
look.
Well,
it's
for people who don't know you, you're our newest selectman person, whatever you like. Is that all right?
Yeah, select
I don't
men,
want to
select women, select person. I'm fine with any of them.
all of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, you're really, I mean, you won right off the gate, right out of the gate. You won.
Yeah.
That's very unusual.
Yeah.
I don't remember somebody doing that in a long time, right out of the gate.
You know, I'm not sure, but I will say it was funny because the first 5 people that signed my petition on day 1 said to me, you know, you're probably not going to win. And you're not going to win the first time out, and, you know, that's okay, and you've got to get your name out there and put your name in the hat, let people know who you are. And so I was fully prepared for that outcome because it's a lot more likely.
Right.
Somewhere along the
So
way.
you were fully prepared, but
Yeah.
what was it like when you first got the word of it?
It was, you know what, it got to a point where as much as everyone said, you're never going to win, there was some shift about 2 weeks before the election where I think a sort of confluence of different things going on locally and nationally gave an outsider, an unknown outsider, a better chance than I would have gotten any other year.
Do you think of yourself as an outsider?
I think, or a long shot, I would say.
Okay.
As a long shot, as opposed to an outsider. I think I was a long shot, and so an outside chance of winning. You know, just the year that was in it, I had a better chance than normal, and I kind of was thinking about that, you know, the week leading up to it, so it was a surprise to win, but I had, you know, my husband and I talked about it quite a bit, saying, he said, you know, you might win. I said, it would be pretty wild, but I think there's a chance. So, yeah.
I thought Richard would win. He came in 3rd place.
Yeah.
And you know, he's old school. He didn't do the internet marketing, I
No.
think, that you younger folks knew
Yeah.
how to do. And
Yeah.
I think that's you've opened the door to that.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, as much as, you know, it's important that there's sort of the traditional way of doing things, and there's an older demographic that doesn't use social media.
Right.
That, you know, I think they're better at reaching out and having that person-to-person, but I do think without social media, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And it wasn't even me, because I'm not a very social media-oriented person, but my campaign crew, there were a couple people specifically that said, this is how you do it, this is how you get your name out, and they were absolutely right.
And I think you got the young vote out too,
Yeah.
which was why Doug Bennett won. I don't know if you remember him. Were you here then?
I absolutely remember Doug Bennett. I mean, he was at the Rotary every single day, I think. He was so determined. It was truly amazing to see.
It was.
Yeah.
And people said, okay, well, if you're going to be that determined, we're going to give it to you. And
Yep.
they gave it to him.
And, you know, I think it's something as well that it's really important to both myself and Jason that we do get our demographic and younger involved.
Yeah.
And the way to do that is social media, like it or not. And, you know, we want it to be as transparent and engaging as possible because we need everyone to take it seriously and be involved.
Right. So what do you think of it so far? You've been on the job for, what,
A month.
A month,
Yeah. So far I've really enjoyed it. You know, it's there's such an amazing mix of things to learn about and things that I find fascinating and interesting, and so there's been a lot of learning I would love to, it's been a whirlwind. Work-wise, this is my busiest time of year. So making that transition from campaign mode and then 10 hours later being sworn in and immediately into Board of Selectmen mode has been, it's felt very quick, and it's been great. And I'm looking forward to getting into more of a routine.
Do you think that you're a politician now? Do you feel like I am a politician?
Only if we can redefine what being a politician
means. Okay, what does that mean? What? I'm just curious. It does connotate negativity now, which I don't think it necessarily has to. I think we need to really look at this a little closer.
No, I totally agree.
I mean, you're a public servant.
Yeah. And
you're helping.
Yeah. You know who was really interesting to talk to the other day was Dylan Fernandez. Because he, was talking about how he had a 7-month campaign compared to our roughly 2-month, and we were just sort of comparing notes, and I was saying, if it went on longer than 2 months, I don't know how, you can do it and you can keep going. But he said, these are all things that are really important to me. Serving the community is one of the things I'm most passionate about. And I think that is the crux of what a true politician should be. And to see someone like Dylan Fernandez at 28 saying, defining politician as someone who's passionate about serving their community, and he really shows it with the time and the effort and the work that he puts in, then yes, I would love to be a politician.
All right.
But I think, if it becoming a politician means people feel that you have an agenda, or that you would be making decisions that would intentionally go against the best for the most. And I think that's what's interesting too, is knowing that I got votes from a very wide range of people that would be on different ends of the spectrum politically, sort of traditionally politically, and feeling an obligation to be representative of all those, as well as representative of the people who didn't vote for me, and understanding, why they didn't vote for me and how I can make sure that I'm still serving that wider community. Mm-hmm. And I think that, the compromise there'll be times when it's really difficult. And I think that's even in the past month, knowing that what's been on our agendas has been fairly lightweight.
Yeah.
But seeing hints of how, what it's going to feel like when you're making decisions that are not going to make everyone happy. And there's going to be times.
Do you see, is there a certain issue that you can see in the future that we may need to face up to, that some people might not be happy about?
There's not one in particular. I do think the most pressing issues, the reason they're most pressing is because they're going to polarize people a little bit. And so I do think affordable housing and how we deal with that, and who deals with that, and who pays for it.
I mean, they're already screaming about
I just don't think
these J1 visas not showing
and
up.
The H2B.
And the H2B,
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Well, the H2B is one, but then the J1 if you can't find housing.
So
I think, like with anything else, though, and affordable housing might impact people more directly, more quickly, is that for a lot of people, they love the idea of affordable housing, but putting anything like that into practice, I think there'll be a little bit more resistance when we really start fleshing out how we're going to tackle it, because it will impact people, whether they're a neighbor, whether they're an abutter, whether they're a taxpayer, whether there's new, zoning regulations, anything like that. When I think we get down to the nuts and bolts of how to actually implement some sort of plan for affordable housing, I do think there'll be more resistance. And I think the same goes for...
Well, how do you see affordable housing working? I mean, in your mind, in the future, 5 years from now?
I think citizen solutions like what Justin Taylor and the Young Creatives have been working on.
The co-op?
The co-op. I think really a deeper understanding of what, from, say, developers and from the town, a deeper understanding of what the younger generations actually want for a home and a house. And I just really see smaller houses, smaller footprints. I think people have this image of everyone needs 3 bedrooms and a lawn and all the space, where right now everything else is telling us that no, people actually want smaller spaces that have less upkeep. They don't, you're not paying a lot of money for running the house either. I think people want to put their money into other things like travel, Apple computers, whatever it is.
Well, why not put your money into buying a place on the Cape and coming over here with all the fast ferries that we have now and making your life that way. I mean, there is a side of Nantucket that says, look, I mean, if you can't afford it, sorry, there's only so many people we can have here anyway.
Well, and I think that's really getting at the question for the island to answer, in that, what are we going to be? Who are we going to be? I think if everyone's commuting and everyone's buying on the Cape, which a lot of people are doing and more people are being forced to,
right,
then we're like a little snow globe on a shelf where...
But aren't we, though?
We're getting there. But I think there's... And maybe, you know, that's... Someone just said recently that you need younger people because they're more optimistic or less jaded. And I do sense that, you know, Jason, myself... we still think, we feel like we're, even Stephen Morey said it, we all feel like we're at a tipping point. I think even Clifford Williams said it. We all feel like we're at a tipping point, and it's something that I said to someone else recently, where I don't think every community gets a chance to have a say in how they move forward because it happens too quickly. But I do think Nantucket's small enough. I think because we're seasonal, we get this ebb and flow of everything's really crazy, nobody can think about anything, and then all of a sudden the season ends and we can all sit back and say, wait a minute, where are we going?
Yeah.
So I think we have a small window of opportunity, not to make Nantucket what it was 20 years ago or 50 years ago, but an opportunity to say, do we want to be, you know, an ornament and have an amazing tourist economy, but we've got the core community living off island, or do we want to have a core community on island?